Hello everyone, and welcome to another wonderful Africam Show today. Oh, as I say that, the elephants were not impressed with my pronunciation and they've just decided to pretty much leave the frame. Coming all the way to you live from Madikwe is this big beautiful herd of elephants that is hopefully gonna go back to the water again. Oh, fingers crossed. My name is Ali and I am coming to you live from Hoedspruit, so quite far away from where Madikwe is. But one of the greatest things about the internet nowadays is that we can connect from all over the place. And well, we get to experience things like this, like watching dotted, almost Dalmatian-like elephants just having an afternoon drink. Rolling Trouble, you're saying hi all the way from Washington. Gemma, hi from sunny New Jersey. Oh, that sounds lovely. I think at least today we also have a sunny hello from you all the way from South Africa. As you can see from how just muddy and covered the elephants are, summer is really starting to hit all the way here. And Madikwe does get very hot, and roughly at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a lot of creatures, not only the elephants, tend to go towards the water holes just to refresh themselves. It's going to be an interesting summer, this one, just to say the least, just because of how hot it's been. Oh, look at that little one. So I'm sure if this is their first summer for all the little creatures down here, then they're going to have an interesting time. They actually do look very funny, the elephants, with all their white spots. Almost look like Dalmatians, as I was saying. John, good afternoon all the way from cloudy Florida. Seems like you guys have a bit of rain going your way, and who knows, maybe we'll start having it sometime soon here too. Now it seems like we just got the Ellies as they came down for a drink, and now they're moving up. Oh, but look at the tiny little one. Oh, that is adorable. Going for more water. Trees Fissup, hello from you all the way from Poland as well. Oh, that's quite far to be watching, and I think maybe you are quite cold up there. It's always funny when elephants do this. They had another spot where they could drink a little bit more properly, but they've decided to come to the one spot where they've actually got to stretch their trunks all the way down just to get some water. It could be that the water here is a little bit fresher, is not maybe as muddy or as dirty as the one in the other spot, and that's why they drunk from here. Ellies are quite finicky when it comes to water. So if they can dig for water just to have fresh water rather than coming to a dirty place, then they would. Oh, look at that little one stretching. Oh no, it was a tad too far away. Shame. So maybe try again in a different spot. Seems like maybe this spot is going to be a little bit easier. There we go. Oh, I might have to go belly first. Well done, little one. You did it. GG. Elephants must drink daily water just to survive. So in some areas, this means that they're going to have to walk very far distances just to get to the watering places and then just move off onto the browsing areas or the areas where they go eating. But pretty much creatures of habits, and in big water holes like this one, or generally if you come to any water source in the summertime, especially in the early afternoon or in the middle of the day, chances are that you will find elephants there. They not only go to the water sources to drink, but also, as you can see from all their different coloration, they often go where there's mud, just to put all of this mud on their bodies, because this helps them, well, first of all, retain moisture, because they're all quite wrinkly, so the mud just gets in the wrinkle of their skin and then just keeps them cooler for longer. But also then the mud helps protect their skin from the sun. Huh. Tris Post, I'm glad you like my Dalmatian Ellie's comment. They did look like that, didn't they? It was pretty funny. But, you know, they're not really Dalmatians. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just the way that them spraying mud all over them has kind of fallen on the body. And it just looked to be quite an interesting pattern, also because there's probably a lot of calcium or calcar in the sand in Madikwe, and then this is why you have some muddy patches and some whiter patches. If you go towards the Kalahari or even the Tosha, then you'll see when the elephants put the mud on them, then they look a little bit different. But, you know, I've never seen a Dalmatian elephant before, so that was some interesting spraying they were doing on their bodies. Look at them drinking. So this little one, just judging by how it's drinking, you see the one in the middle of the two, I would say it's potentially just over 2 years old, because it takes them about a year to learn how to use their trunk properly. And when they're tiny, they actually, it's almost like they're cheating. They go on their front legs, they bend down, and then they drink straight with their mouth, because it takes them a while to learn how to suck up the water with their trunks, then put the trunk in their mouth, tilt the head upwards, and then drink. It's quite something to learn how to do it. I would imagine it's comparable to maybe a human learning how to use a utensil, or, you know, maybe trying to feed itself or starting to ride. You know, there's a finesse to it. It's not as easy as it might look like. Johnny, I have seen, unfortunately, many elephants without trunks. Not without the entire trunk, but with pieces of their trunk missing. From little ones to older ones. It's not the greatest sight, I'm not going to lie. You do tend to see them straight away and you're like, oh, something here is not going well. It does interfere with their ability to drink and their ability to browse, because, as you know, an elephant's trunk is not only its nose, but it's a very dexterous hand. So they use it to break twigs and to snap the grass from the ground, and then just put the fruits on their mouth and so on. So when they don't have a trunk, or when they're missing parts of the trunk, then this can be a bit of a problem for them. And sometimes this happens due to a number of reasons. Snares and poaching is one of them, unfortunately, especially in certain areas where you get a lot of human interference. Then they'll put big snares, not generally for big animals like elephants, because generally when poachers try to get the elephants in, they go for, you know, gunpowder and a little bit more technological equipment, let's put it that way. But sometimes elephants, because they use their trunks for everything, they get caught in there, and of course the snare is a wire that just tightens and tightens and tightens over time, and then as it does that, then it just tends to snap the elephant's trunk, which is just basically made out of muscle. And ironically enough, I have also seen, I've never seen it with my own eyes, but I've seen photographs that float, or videos that float on social media every now and again, about crocodiles actually biting the trunks of the elephants off. So there was a place where I used to work in the southern Sabi Sand, just by the Sabi River, where one of my colleagues actually captured the whole thing as well on video. This elephant just, you know, and the crocodile didn't let go. The elephant just like put its trunk up and very quickly with one violent motion, and then the crocodile just came out of the water, just still holding on to the trunk. Very great crocodile. Well, hello, zebra. You're looking at all the elephants go by, just like what we are. I'm sure they made a lot of noise. And zebras can also be curious creatures, so probably just looking around. But zebras and elephants, they don't really compete for anything else. They're not competing for water. They don't really have a reason to interact. I think the zebra is much more concerned about something else, at least far away. So, oh, okay, done. Whatever it wasn't of too much importance. Likely the zebras already had a drink, so the elephants just kind of left it and went their own way. Huh. That was nice. It's always a nice thing to start the afternoon with lots of elephants. I was even saying to Kirst, who's one of the directors of the show, that I could have used some elephants today. Elephants are always wonderful to witness, and it is one of my favorite things, just to sit for hours in front of a water hole. Oh, it seems like these Ellies are actually going to maybe use the mud. I think the one on the right, it just had the intention of maybe loosening the mud with its trunk or with its tusk, but it doesn't seem like that's gonna happen. Let's just stick around with them a little bit longer and then just see what they do. Because if they do put the mud on top of themselves, it's quite funny. And it's always refreshing. But no, just as we hoped they would do, the elephants have a mind of their own, and maybe they're gonna leave. They do look funny. I think it was fun. It almost reminds me of the coating of the name escapes my brain now, but those big cows in Uganda with the very long horns that have these beautiful patterns. Maybe maybe Halloween is coming and the elephants know it, so they're trying to be somebody else, trying to cover themselves in something. Funny elephants. Some commotion going on there. I think maybe one of them got a little bit too close to the little one, to the tiny little one there in the middle, and the mom just reminded them to keep their distance and be gentle. Zygote, you say you can hear a dark-haired bugle loud and clear. Birds at this time of the day will also be going all over the place. I think a few of them are also going to be coming down to the water and then just have a drink, maybe have a bit of a bath too, cool themselves down. Seems like it's a bit of a hazy day. Oh, look at that little one coming from the left-hand side. I think what they're trying to do there is they've had their drink. It seems like the soil is a bit looser there in the middle, so potentially what they're going to start doing is dust bathing and just putting some of the dust on top of themselves. I'm not sure if there's potentially a spring of water in there. That could be another reason why they're all congregating in there. And I think there's a big bull coming from the back just going to chase everybody away. Well, hello. Let's see what is happening all the way here. I want to say this is Katmai town, if I'm not mistaken. No, I was mistaken. We are on Tembe, all the way from the northern part of South Africa to sort of the south. Just bear with me. And we are in Tembe now, which looks very, very green compared to Mandika, doesn't it? Even now, you can tell the difference of just what places are closer to the coast, which places get a bit more rainfall, and which ones don't. And I think this is a very interesting observation, comparing Tembe with the bare patch that is nowadays Mandika. Still a little bit of grass here, especially if you look towards the bushes at the back. Becky, hello from sunny West Virginia. Well, hello to you, and Michael from Carolina, North Carolina, USA. We've got a lot of people from all over the world joining us today, which is quite exciting. Oh, what is happening there? It's almost like it looks like there's a jackal there, but I am not sure. I'm probably making up things, but let's head to the Elephants River camp. There might be some more life going on there. What? There we go. Hello, Nyala. How are you doing? Are you a Nyala or are you a bush buff? I would love it if you turned around a little bit. But I'm gonna go with Nyala. Also, as we were seeing earlier on with the waterhole at Tau, it's the same when you go next to a big riverbed. I'm sure there are lots of other things around riverbeds and they come and go. They don't always stay in the same spot, but look at that. I mean, it's cooler. There are potentially more grasses and fruits to eat. Socializing as well, if you're an elephant and you want to bump into somebody else. Bushbox is one of our zoomies. I also thought maybe a bushbuck, but then I wanted to say Nyala because the last bushbuck I saw was actually a very long time ago out in the wild. It's crazy how Nyalas just have done very well for themselves and they've just displaced bushbucks pretty much everywhere. So Nyala and bushbuck are related, or well, not too distantly related. They're in the same family, as the kudus as well, the antelope with the spiral twisting horn. But Nyalas are slightly taller than bushbuck, and so Nyalas can feed at the same height as a bushbuck, and then they can feed a little bit higher, whereas the bushbuck can only feed at their height, and they cannot feed, at the same Nyala height. So in a lot of places, like the interspecies competition has driven some of the bushbuck away, and then now we have a little bit more Nyala perhaps than would we should. So I remember a few years ago, seeing a bushbuck was quite common, and nowadays when we see a bushbuck, we get excited about a bushbuck. But I mean, it would be nicer if this one turned around instead of us just looking at its bum. No? No. It's not interested. I am loving that big yellow tree on the right hand side of the screen. That is, funny enough, that is my favorite tree. It's called the sycamore fig, and you generally only get them in areas where you have big riverbeds or just flowing rivers. They need a lot of water. Not all figs are like that. There are some figs, even like the rock figs, that actually grow in rocks. But the sycamore figs, there are some that look like giant cauliflowers, basically, and they are beautiful. And the good thing is, and I was actually wondering if maybe this bushbuck isn't actually eating the figs, because the sycamore figs don't drop at a certain time of the year. They do it, and they all have their own sort of ability to produce fruit and drop fruits at different times of the year, so they're a good natural source. Oh, look how many. Oh, that's beautiful. I actually do love them. And they're just so beautiful. I mean, so in a space like this, you might have like the one tree is producing figs and the one on the left is and the one on the right isn't. And oh, that's beautiful. Gigi, yes, this tree that we were looking at earlier, the sycamore fig, that is my favorite tree. They're just beautiful. There's actually, and I'm completely biased, there was a documentary that I saw many years ago, and I think you can still find it on YouTube, called Sycamore, the Queen of Trees, and it's fascinating because sycamore figs actually need, or most figs actually, they need a tiny little wasp to pollinate them, and they've formed this incredible and very interesting relationship between the two, where this tiny little wasp actually has to go in there, get inside of the fig, which is just like an inverted flower, to be able to pollinate it so that it transforms into the fruit. And then that's the fleshy fruit that pretty much all the animals go crazy for. Michael, it is very hot here today. It's about 30, well, here where I am in Hoedspruit in the Lowveld, the average temperature just now at the beginning of summer has been around 34, between 34 and 38 degrees Celsius, which makes me worried because that means that come January or December, it's going to be very hot. But the winter, it was fairly cold in some areas. There were actually lots of photos of snow, funny enough, in certain parts of South Africa. I don't know if you know this, but we do get snow in South Africa, especially in Lesotho and then regions closer to the Cape. And well, for it to snow, it's got to go to at least 0 degrees. But in the area where I'm at, which is not too, I'm actually kind of sitting between Tembe in KwaZulu-Natal and Madikwe. It can go to about maybe 7 degrees. Madikwe does get a lot cooler because it's closer to the desert. So just on the outskirts of the desert, it does get very cold up there. So sometimes morning drives might happen a little bit later because some of your liquids or your fluids in your cars might just be frozen. But generally, I'm going to say it goes to about 7 degrees Celsius. Let's put it around there, 7 to 4, and then obviously it depends exactly where you are located, where you are going on safari, or where the animals are living. I think one of my favorite photos of last year, I think it was last year's winter, not this winter, the winter before, there was a massive snowstorm in the Karoo, in the southern area of South Africa. And some wildlife photographers went out there and then got these really incredible photos of cheetahs in the snow. It was fascinating. And then, of course, we got some other photos from, I can't remember which national park, of the lions tracks, lions' paw prints just in the snow. It was incredible. It was very beautiful. But just like, oh, hello, game viewer vehicle with all the guests. But judging by how hot it is now at the beginning of this time of the year, I think we're in for a very interesting, very hot summer. It has been very wet. I mean, even if you look in the background, this time of the year, it's supposed to be incredibly dry, but we've had a lot of waterfall pretty much all over South Africa. So it's a lot greener than what it normally is. Mary, you're wondering if elephants can cope with the snow. To a degree, yes. They don't necessarily occur, or not this time of the year, or not in this area, in areas where there's a lot of snow. So I'm thinking of captive elephants that have managed to survive the snow in zoos and so on, but they might need extra help. They're probably going to have to eat more just to maintain their body temperature and so on. But in the areas, and I might be mistaken, but I can't think of any areas in South Africa where there are photos of elephants in the snow. I mean, I'm talking in the last sort of 100 years. They are creatures that are adept to live in very hot climates. I mean, look at their massive ears. That generally they use them, or indicates that it's an animal that uses their ears as a radiator to dissipate heat. So they have a lot of capillaries, a lot of blood vessels behind their ears where the skin is a little bit thinner, and then once the blood flows through the ears, and then you see them flapping their ears as well, it just creates a cooling motion, and the blood gets a little bit cooler, and then as it, sometimes even by up to 1 degree, and then as soon as the blood freezes flowing through the body. On the other hand, though, if it's really cold, and one degree is still put your ears flapping against your body. You see them often doing that, especially the little ones in the summer. Not in the summer, but in the winter. It's very cute to see them do that. What is happening in there, guys? Are we having family reunion? Just trying to see what the little one is doing. It seems like there's something in there that they all want. Sometimes elephants will put rocks, soil, bones in their mouth just to try and suck some of the nutrients, especially in desert areas like towards Madikwe and the Kalahari Desert. A lot of the times you'll find that the reserves will have to supplement some of the animals' diets, and they'll offer salt licks, which generally have zinc, phosphorus, calcium, just for the animals to then be able to find this or supplement their diet, because it's not readily available in the areas that they live in. There's a bit of that, because whatever it is, it's something they all want. So it could be that they're just looking for some soil. Almost like the elephant version of going to a pharmacy and having a bit of vitamins. There's a red-eyed dog calling. It was very funny. I think that was one of the first calls that I learned. I am the red-eyed dog. In theory. That's what it sounds to some people. Quite a peaceful scene. Trunks going everywhere. Must be nice, salty and tasty. Remember everyone, this is a live and interactive show, so if you've got any questions or any comments you'd like to share with us in the world, I'm more than happy to have them. JJ, you're wondering if I've been to Madikwe. I have. I've only been to Madikwe, funny enough, I've been to Madikwe, I want to say in the summer, not the middle of the summer, and then once in the winter time. I did freeze in the winter time. I don't do well with the cold. I'm definitely a tropical creature. And then once towards the summer. It's a very interesting area. I think a lot of the elephants in Madikwe in general don't have the best reputation. They are referred to as being quite aggressive a number of times, but as we saw today, as long as you give them space, most animals can come together. There was a scene earlier, or part of what we were watching earlier, where there was a game drive vehicle with the guests there, and the elephants weren't actually bothered whatsoever. So that was pretty cool to watch. And now that they've done their own thing, they're probably going to go and find something else to eat. There's that head shake. Oh, he's a young boy, isn't it? I'm gonna leave our Ellies and then go from a very big creature to a very, very small creature that unfortunately I've seen quite widely. Oh, look at that adorable lapwing chick. So we are at Ankoro now. And oh, it's amazing because the last time I actually saw it, it was just still an egg. And now it's a fully grown thing. Well, not a fully grown, but it has legs and a beak and it's on its own. When I mean on its own, I mean just by the edge of the water. The parents are still going to be around and they're still going to protect it from other predators, either by trying to mob it or just by pretending that they're injured to try and draw the attention away from the little one. It always makes me laugh how massive their little legs are, but it's good to see that it's feeding on its own, just looking for any insects. And oh, this time of the year is going to be an easier time for them to actually find all the little things, hence why the vast majority of the birds actually breed in the summertime. There are lots of insects, there's lots of food, fruits, leaves, all the things for them to eat. So it's a lot easier then for the little ones to find food, grow quicker, grow stronger in less amount of time, and then just actually make it into adulthood. Being a little one in the wild is not easy. I mean, very easily could even a barb will actually come out and have this little trick, which we're not going to wish upon because they are adorable and tiny little things. But sadly, if you look right behind where the trick is, all of those seem like old elephant footsteps. So it's often that the elephants, as we saw in the video, would come down to the water, and then that little one just kind of gets caught in between all those elephants. The elephants will squash them, but not necessarily because they're trying to. Sometimes it just kind of happens by accident. To me, you're wondering why did one egg hatch, and if it's common for birds to have only one egg hatch in the fledge. I'm not sure if there was only one that hatched, or if maybe two of them, and then we lost a chick somewhere along the way. So lapwings generally have more than one, or they lay more than one egg. But other creatures, for example, other birds like the eagles, and they will lay one egg, and then the second one will be an insurance one in case something happens to the first one. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy to try, especially for the predators, to try and raise a chick. So if something happens to the first chick, then they'll have the second one. But if generally what happens is that either they will push the egg of the second one out, or actually the chick will just push the sibling or the egg out of the nest once they hatch. Tristan said, you're saying that in the last few days we saw more than the usual brand new baby elephants in different camps. Is this something like the seasonal pick of birth for the elephants? So elephants don't breed seasonally. Certain bird species they do, they'll just come and breed at a certain times of the year, but there is a peak season where you will find that perhaps animals give birth, or a time where animals give birth, and it tends to coincide with the rainy season. So impalas, for example, are very well known for this. They'll give birth when the rainy season starts, and this is because when the rain starts, then you'll have more food available for the mothers. So if the mothers have more food, and then they don't have to stress or walk as far for food, they're able to produce more milk. And if they're able to produce more milk, then they're able to properly feed their young ones, and then they grow up very big and strong elephants at one point. There's something like this little... Oh, what happened there? That was a little bit of break dancing happening there. But things like the chicks or birds, they won't necessarily be fed for prolonged periods of time. And then they'll start supplementing their diet. As this little one is doing, just more the little things there. Depends also on the species of bird. Eagles, they take a little bit longer, and then depends on the parents, and vultures as well, to feed them for longer periods of time. But the smaller bird species are generally precocial, so they've got to stand within a few minutes, and they've got to be able to do their thing and just be little creatures all throughout, so that they have a better chance of surviving. This is too adorable. Cindy, you're saying it's got such long legs. It really does. It almost seems like they do grow into their legs, as most animals do, or their paws. But I don't know if you've seen around, there was a bigger bird around. That's what it's going to look like later, and it's going to become a big blacksmith lapwing. Seems like there's a lot of action happening today all over. A lot of elephants, a lot of birds. Pretty chilled afternoon in the Elephant River with the bushbuck. Seems like a good day to be in Africa. It's actually been a wonderful start of the summer. I'm not going to complain just yet of how hot it is. And it's exciting just to see the return of all the little ones. It is a time of the year that generally just makes your heart go like, oh, yay, I'm happy. Oh, look at you go. Oh, hello, Mr. Bushbuck. Male bushbuck with his beautiful coat, scratching his horns. Seems like there's all sorts of things happening in Africa today. That's a really bad itch inside of the ear. I don't think this is the same one we saw earlier, and if it's just because they're early, or if my eyesight fails me, the other one doesn't have horns, this one does. This is the male bushbuck, and it's actually a very, very, very wonderful sight. Just to say goodbye to all of you today. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining me while I talk away about my favorite thing, which is everything about the African wilderness. Oh, and very happy that we could end with a creature that was very common a while ago, but that we don't get to see as much anymore.